Hey guys, it's cece. Welcome to my little corner of the universe where we talk about whatever I feel like talking about. Today, we will be talking about the movie Uglies. It is based on a novel by Scott Westerfield that came out in 2005. It's dystopian YA novel. You know how it goes. It's basically about the society that makes people go through cosmetic surgery once they turn 16. But until you turn 16, you are trapped in a big, ugly gray compound with all the other ugly kids. And you're not allowed to leave until you turn pretty, and then you can go to Pretty City and, party and be hot and all that good stuff. The book, as far as I remember, was tackling themes of vanity, beauty, self-worth, conformity, individuality, all these things. Netflix really doesn't deliver on much of this. I don't think we're surprised. It's Netflix. According to the Netflix summary, because I love to read the summaries because they're always such a poor summation of what's going on. But according to Netflix, this is what the movie's about. In a futuristic society divided by uglies and pretties, where cosmetic surgery is mandatory, choosing yourself is the ultimate form of rebellion. That's what it says. That's what it says. So the movie starts out with a montage. Voiceover by our star, Joey King. Already, they have me hooked. I'm assuming they're talking about present day. People destroyed the earth. They ran all their resources to the ground. Chaos ensued. People fighting, whole shebang. The whole world went to shit, basically. So humanity created this synthetic flower called the white tiger orchid that basically is this renewable resource that's, saved the world and solved all their problems, except loving each other. And so what they did to fix that, the division, the fighting, the war, always at each other's throats. What they did to fix that, they came up with an idea called the transformation that everyone would go through at 16 that would make them hot. And that is how they decided to solve everything. So basically, all the ugly kids stay in one building together on an island. So on one side of the bridge is Ugly Town. I'm going to call it the compound because you'll notice in this movie, they don't name any of the places, which was really annoying when I was writing the script. I'm just going to call the place where the ugly kids stay. I'm going to call that the compound. And across the bridge is Pretty City, where they got fireworks, they got lights, they got parties, all the good stuff. All the kids are depressed, wearing gray, worrying about their future. And then the parents, and all the adults, they just partying, they just kicking it, they just doing whatever. So good for them. Good for them. Shirk responsibility. I love that. I just also think that it's interesting that all of the uglies, they're kids. They're kids. It's everyone who's under 16 is considered an ugly. So all the uglies are the mistreated kids getting treated like second-class citizens and getting told that they're ugly every single day. It's not funny. That is actually so tragic. But anyway, the movie starts. It's Tally looking in the mirror. Tally is just Joey King in a subpar outfit with no makeup on and a bad wig. This is what being ugly means today. We are 15 seconds in and the suspension of disbelief is already so intense. Anyway, she gets a text from her best friend. His name is Nose, obviously. Now, who do you think Nose is? It is none other than John B. Rutledge from Outer Banks. To make him ugly, they just gave him a prosthetic nose and dyed his hair black and then called it a day. I think it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous. So she breaks out of her room to scale the side of the building and go meet him on the roof. Off rip. The acting, it's just no good. It's just no good. In situations like these, I always have to at least blame 50% of the bad acting on the writing because the writing is also bad. So I don't like to just blame the people on the screen. It's important to blame the people behind the scenes too. They need to take responsibility because it's not looking great. So apparently Nose is getting his procedure tomorrow. His real name is Paris. I'm just going to call him Paris from now on just to avoid confusion. But his ugly nickname, because everyone has ugly nicknames, is Nose, and hers is Squint because her eyes don't fit her face. Listen, I didn't do this. I'm just delivering what's going on. So he's getting the procedure done tomorrow. And, they're kikiing, they're talking, he's like, I'll never forget you. We'll be friends forever. And then he whip out, he got a scar on his hand, because are you really best friends if you don't have matching scars? I thought we all did bloodletting rituals in the forest to swore our fealty to our friends. I thought that's what we all did before Instagram. But I guess maybe that's just me. Conversation continues. They're staring deeply into each other's eyes. They're holding hands. Clearly, a confession is about to happen, because they're like, oh, I wanted to say something before. Oh, no, you go. No, I'll go. Paris is about to say something, but they get interrupted by a patrol drone because they're not supposed to be outside. So they have to go back to their rooms, and they didn't get to finish their conversation. Oh, no. But before they leave, Paris promises to meet Tally on the bridge 1 month after he gets his procedure tomorrow, so that, they can see each other in between the 3 months that they won't see each other. I don't think 3 months is that long, but apparently they love each other so much they can't go that long without seeing each other. So they decide to meet up in a month. So the next day starts off the graduation assembly, which must happen like every day, because it happens like every time someone turns 16, and there's like every kid lives there. It must be like, it's like morning mass basically. So they go there, they do a little graduation ceremony. Like, instead of morning mass, like instead of prayer, it's Laverne Cox telling you that you're ugly, but not for long, that you'll be saved soon and brought to the pretty city with all the other good people. So we meet Dr. Cable, who is played by Laverne Cox. She will be our main antagonist in this film. She really wants everybody to be pretty. She really wants everybody to go through the procedure, all that good stuff. There's a big speech. She tells all the kids who are, turning 16 today to calm down. Hallie and Paris say their goodbyes. Two important takeaways from the scene. One important takeaway, some ugly kids in the row behind Tally are talking about this place called The Smoke and this guy named David. Apparently The Smoke is a place you can live without getting the procedure. So some kids are talking about like escaping. This girl her name's Skinny. This girl Skinny and some other kids talking very loudly, by the way. A lot of heresy and dissidence going on in the back row that apparently nobody seems to care about. She was talking about some kids that ran away last night and were taken there by David, and they call him a revolutionary, but everybody's like, no, that's a myth. Like, David's a myth. The Smoke is a myth. Another important takeaway is that Skinny, unprompted, I don't think she knows Tally. She just comes up to her and she's like, oh, was that your boyfriend? And Tally's like, no, we just friends. Interesting. And then the day ends, and there's something important I think that we all need to address in this film. So Tally goes to her room and she asks for a toothbrush pill. Okay? And she swallows it. She doesn't chew it. She doesn't, I don't know, gargle. I don't know. But like, look at this. Like, no, I know everybody breath stank in there, because what do you mean a toothbrush pill and you just swallow it? What does that do? What does that do for your teeth, for your gums? No, that's disgusting. One of the main flaws of this film. It's something that I really couldn't forget. Anyway, the next few scenes is like flashbacks of Tally and Paris's friendship. And once again, I have questions. So the flashback is her coming to the compound, and it looks like her and Paris are like 11 or 12, and they're meeting and they're like, oh, what's your name? I'm Squint, I'm Nose, yada yada. But I was under the impression that they stayed there like the whole time. So are there just like ugly kids in Pretty City too, and then when they get to be like 11 or 12 then they move to the compound? Because I feel like that kind of defeats the segregation purposes of the ugly side of town and the pretty side of town. So I guess they just stay with their parents until like they're 12 or like old enough to go to school there, and then they just stay, but that means that they're only there for like a couple years. I thought that, because then I would be like, oh my god, like being without your parents, like that actually sounds like it sucked. But it doesn't sound that bad. Like you're literally like just going away to boarding school basically for like a few years, and then you get to like reunite with your family and all your other friends and stuff like that. Like it don't sound that bad. I'm just saying, it don't sound that bad. I think the thing with the movie is like really acting like these kids are treated like second class citizens, but they got techie stuff. They got, they got these interface things. They got the touch screens and the cool goggle glasses. They look ugly, but they go to class. They have friends, they be hoverboarding and stuff. I just don't really see I thought they was gonna be like, oh my god, kids separated from their parents their whole lives, and then only when they're pretty do they get to reunite. But anyway, the flashbacks continue. We find out that Paris gets his scar because he's trying, like they out in the woods or something, and he's trying to get Tally's attention, so he takes her glass tablet and smashes it against a rock with his bare hands. And then Tally picks up the dirty glass off the forest floor and cuts herself, and they promise to be best friends forever and rub wounds. Okay. I don't even do you want to die? Maybe, it's the future. Maybe they got stuff for that. But that honestly is just disgusting. I'm just gonna say it. That is horrifying. I don't like that. Time goes on. In class the following day, Tally gives a presentation, which is basically the same information that we get at the beginning of the movie. So they really could have just cut that scene out. But Netflix loves redundancy. So we're just going to leave that alone. Time is passing. She keeps texting no's. He's not responding. She's waiting and waiting. It's a whole wall of blue text and just no response from him. Very sad. So it's finally been a month and Tally is going to meet Paris at the bridge. Surprise, surprise. He ain't at the bridge. He ain't text you back, girl. I don't know why you thought he was going to be at the bridge. He's not at the bridge. He's not there. So she takes it upon herself to crawl across the bridge. This is a bridge. It's over water. She's going to scale the bridge and crawl across to Pretty City so she can go see him. I'm sorry. The scene is so funny to me because the song that they're playing is like a diddly 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 dee. Diddly 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 dee. Dong, 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 dong. I feel like they set her up because it looks so lame. You can tell they're desperately trying to get back the 2010s dystopian movie vibe, and they're failing so bad. But anyway, she successfully crosses the bridge. She finds a mask. It's a pig mask, of course, that disguises her and gives her a pretty dress, so nobody recognizes her ugly mug. And then she enters the city, and it's it's pretty, it's fireworks, it's raining sparkles. It's very serious out here. Everything is bright and glowing. And honestly, the first thing, I cannot sleep in these conditions. Is it just, it's a party 24/7. There's lights everywhere. Everybody is partying and yelling and screaming. How am I supposed to sleep? That's my first question. Is there another section of the city where it's quiet and people just to stay at home and chill? Because that's the part of the city I want to be in. I like to be inside. I like my peace and quiet, and I really don't think I could thrive in these conditions. But Tally is loving it. She is looking around. She's amazed by what's going on. And so she finds John B. And surprise, surprise, John B looks Paris looks exactly the same, except he doesn't have a prosthetic nose. He got his hair, his makeup and his lashes done. And this is him. Pretty. I wish they would just really commit and just hire some ugly people. Just hire some ugly people if you really want to commit to the narrative. Anyway, and then, oh my gosh, his scar is gone. Who could have predicted this? So obviously when they meet up, he acting brand new. He acting like he don't know her. He's like, ooh, you're not supposed to be here. And she's like, wait, but we were supposed to meet up at the bridge and you weren't there. And he's like, yeah, no, I was not going to show up, but we can meet up in 2 months, when you don't look the way that you look. And she's like, oh my God, I thought we were BFFFLs. And he's like, we can be in 2 months when you don't look like that. But in the middle of the conversation, she takes her mask off, and guess what? Oh my gosh, they have a system that recognizes ugly people. And so the alarms start blaring and they're like, ugly person, get that bitch out of here. She don't belong. And so, she's running and jumping through the streets. She jumps off a building with this bungee jacket thing, and she just zooms. So she's gone, and she runs off and she manages to escape. So she back on the bridge. One of the patrol drones spots her. And she thinks it's up. It might be over from this moment. But the girl from before, Skinny, swoops in on a hoverboard and saves her, and they make it back to the compound safely. We find out that this girl, her name is Shay. They become fast friends. They kikiing, they haha, and they're having a great time. So it's nice. It's cute. Aside from the bad acting, it's a cute time. So they start hanging out. She teaches Tally how to hoverboard. Also, apparently books are banned because some kids come up to Shay and they give her this book and they're like, oh my God, thank you for letting me read it. And Tally's like, what the fuck is that? Y'all got books? What y'all doing? She's immediately hot. and she's like, oh yeah, do you want to read it? So So she takes the book and it's Henry David Thoreau's Walden. Apt. I'll give him that. Tally takes the book and she reads it. More time passes. They're, still friends. Tally is in her room customizing her face because apparently that's what you do like in your free time. There's this app called Morpho where you can like customize what your face will look like when you're pretty, and that's like all everyone does. And so she asks Shay for her account, and oh my god, Shay doesn't have one. She says it's a time sink and that it's like not worth the time. She's like, I don't see the big deal. Tally's like, that's weird, that's suspicious, why don't you have an account? She's like, I just don't feel like I need one. Shay, she's different from the other girls. She's cool, she's intellectual, she reads. Honestly, I really think they should just be girlfriends, but it's just a sentiment that I had throughout the film, and it's just how I feel. I don't really feel like explaining it. I feel like if you watch it, you'll like understand what I'm talking about. So that happens. They go out and board more. After they're boarding, Tally gives the book back to Shay and she's like, oh my god, I really enjoyed it. Like, it sounds so peaceful and nice just to be like, out in the woods, doing your little thing away from everything. Like, that sounds nice. And she's like, do you want to like do that? And Tally's like, what do you mean? She's like, we could like leave. We could go to the smoke. And Tally's like, the smoke ain't real, bitch. What you talking about? And she's like, no. Like, we could go. We could meet David. And Tally is not having it. She's like, pause. What do you mean? You want me to be old, dusty, and busted when I could be hot? What are you talking about? And so she heats up and she's like, absolutely not. Why would I do that? Also, I'm not sure if like hoverboards are allowed or not because I never see anybody else with a hoverboard except for Shay when she's teaching Tally. It seems like you're not allowed to have one, but also like they just out in the open like using them, nobody's saying anything. So I don't know if it's illegal or not. I really don't understand like the rules of this place. It doesn't really seem like there's any surveillance or anything keeping them in line, I guess, as much as it should be, considering given the plot, you would think that there would be more surveillance, especially since they have like they have these rings that like allow them to interact with the interface and like control like tech in like their room and stuff, but they're really not. They just be doing stuff. So Shay brushes Tally off and she's like, just meet me at this location for like one last trick. We're just gonna have one last trick because tomorrow they're supposed to get their procedures because they have the same birthday, so they're getting them at the same time. Tally's like suspicious, she's cautious, but she's like, okay, let's do it. So she takes her to the edge of the property, and apparently there are these like towers. The sensors will go off if you like leave outside of the towers. The way they escape this is they take off their little interface rings and they leave them on a tree branch. And she's like, they'll think we're having a picnic. I've done this before. And then they just run off. Make it make sense. Because if they're so bent on making sure that these kids don't leave to the smoke, you would think that there would be other ways for them to track them, but no, it's just the rings. And then they just run off and nothing happens. So Shay takes Tally to an abandoned roller coaster park and she just jumps her with the information. She's like, listen, we can leave tonight. We can go meet David and escape. We can escape the procedure and we can, be together and be free. She's like, I don't want to be pretty. I want to grow old. I want to learn. I don't want to stop growing. And that's what the procedure does. It stops you from growing. I don't know what made her think that Tally was going to go along with this. If anybody's sipping the Kool-Aid, it is Tally. She is guzzling it. Okay. She does not want to do anything but be pretty. That is her whole objective in life. So obviously Tally's like, what are you talking about? Like, she doesn't even know David. She's barely even heard of this man. And Shay's over here asking her to like throw everything away to like leave with some unknown guy to an unknown location. And Talia, she's not having it. She's like, why? Like, I'm not going to do that. Don't. And she's like, don't leave. We can be together. It'll be fine. I just want to be pretty. I don't want to keep feeling like I'm less than. And Shay's like, no, you're not. Like, I see you. We can be together if we just leave. And I was listen, I was watching this scene and I was like, they're in love. You can't tell me anything otherwise. Cause like the tearful goodbye, the longing looks, the Tally begging Shay not to leave her. Tally is real. And it is the only thing that kept me going through this movie. So you gotta let me have it. So Shay leaves, but she leaves Tally directions with how to find her, and they're in code. Code means riddles. She just wrote riddles. So she leaves the instructions with Tally and decides that she's gonna leave without her. Boom. Next day, it's transformation day. It's the day that Tally's been waiting for. But guess what? It's not happening because they take her to HQ basically to ask about Shay's whereabouts and be like, you've been hanging out with Shay. What's going on? She went missing. You must have noticed she wasn't there. And Queen Cable come up to her and start grilling her about Shay. They're asking her about Shay. They're asking her where she is. Like she has a connection to David. If you could tell us anything. And Tali's like, oh my God, I didn't know. Like she's playing dumb basically and saying like, I didn't know. Like I thought she would be there. And then Cable threatens her with EUT, extended ugly time. And she says, you gonna stay in the compound until you can remember what's going on. So Tali, she's devastated. She's like, I'm never gonna be pretty. My life is over. And at that point, Paris suspiciously shows up in her room in the middle of the night, and her dumbass tells him everything. And she's like, oh my God, this is going on with Shay. Like she left and I can't betray her. And Paris is like, just spill the beans, bro. He's like, why are you keeping it a secret? Don't you want to be a freak? Do you want to be an outcast? I can't be friends with you if you like that. You have to tell them what's going on so you can get the procedure and we can be together forever. He doesn't say that. So he basically convinces her. He's like, you would be saving Shay because she's, off with these insurgents. You don't know what's going on. So the next day happens. She goes to Cable. She tells her everything. So Cable tells Tali that David has a weapon. He has a weapon and he's going to come attack the city and it might be over for everyone. Let me reiterate that the man who lives in the woods has a weapon that is going to just destroy everything. But Tali believes it. Tali believes it. And she's like, oh my God, I have to go save Shay. So Cable tells Tali to go there and basically infiltrate, on some secret spy, on some espionage, double agent type stuff. So she gives her a necklace. She's like, if you wear this necklace, it'll give us the signal when you find the weapon and we gonna come get you. We gonna roll up on them and it's gonna be over. So Tali agrees. Cue the montage. She goes venturing through the woods. She follows Shay's riddle, running through the woods, trying to find the meetup place. Basically, she makes it. It finds this field of like the synthetic flowers that they make, and she goes to sleep. She takes a nap. Then we cut back to Cable, and surprise, surprise, Paris was sent there on a super secret mission by Cable to convince Tali to spill the beans about Shay. So Paris tells Cable that when he went to see Tali, he started feeling things that he hasn't felt in a long time. Like conscious thought, human connection, things like that. Cable tells Paris that there are some people who just need a little extra work. So she recommends that he get the procedure again. And he's like, yeah, if that's what you think is best. So he goes through the procedure again. Spoiler, he basically becomes like a freaking super soldier who obeys her every command. Because as you can probably pick up at this point, that the procedure does a little bit more than just making you pretty. It makes you kind of insensitive, kind of stupid, maybe a few other things. We'll find out down the line as we continue through with this very long movie. So back to Tali. She wakes up in the field of flowers are burning. Everything is burning. It's hot. And David, who we find out is this very gorgeous black man. He's played by Keith Powers. Wow. And he saves her and he tells her that her hoverboard has a tracker in it. So he gets rid of the tracker and he takes her back to his group. Now, I would like to talk about this. Why were they not able to find Shay? Because I'm pretty sure that her and Tali took their hoverboards to the meeting place where she left to go meet David, right? To anything, they could have just sent some spies or some people there to wait out to where that location is and just follow whoever left from there. Unless Shay knew about the trackers. But then if she was planning on taking Tali with her, why would she not tell Tali about the tracker? Because they'd have to at least take it out before they left, right? But also she didn't take off the tracker off her board before she left. She just kind of took off. So now I have more questions. Either these people are so stupid and don't know how to use their own technology, or this is what we would call a plot hole. Because does it make sense that they have no idea where David is, where these kids are going? It seems like when Tali was going there, she needed her hoverboard to go. So they need their hoverboards to get there. And if they don't know, I know David usually meets up with them before they leave, but then they would at least know the meeting place where they meet David because the trackers would work up until then, right? Or am I dumb? Am I just stupid? I don't understand. That was nagging me. Anyway, he takes the tracker off of her board, takes her back to the outpost where, you know, him and his group, they're kicking it. Her and Shay reunite. It's like, oh my God, I finally found you. Like, they run up to each other and hug, and they're reuniting, and it's nice. And immediately people are suspicious of her, rightfully so, because she is there for purely nefarious purposes. And I feel like we should be suspicious. Like, she came here on her own, because apparently no one's come here on their own. Usually David goes to meet up with the kids and brings them back, and she's the only person who's made it here by herself. Shay's like, no, I vouch for her. Like, she's fine. Like, she's good. And then later, when they're like, it's just Shay and Tally alone, oh my God, who gave you the necklace? And Tally lies and tells her that Paris gave it to her, even though it was Dr. Evil Knievel, Dr. Cable. I feel like there's something to say about the evil mastermind of this all being like a Black trans woman. I don't know how to articulate that feeling. It doesn't sit right with me personally, but I'll just leave it at that. I don't like it. She lies, but she tells her, she's like, you know, I'm not sure about this. Like, this is kind of suspicious or whatever. And Shay's like, wait, pause. Did you come here to bring me back? And Tally's like, and Shay's like, no, you need to leave. You either need to leave or you actually need to give this place a shot. I just realized, you really have to forgive me. I've been looking at the screen versus like the actual camera this whole video. But now I feel like if I like switch it up, it's going to be weird. Now I'm like staring you in the eye, you know, and I feel like that's a weird change up to make at this point. So I'm just going to keep looking at the screen. Y'all are just going to have to deal with it. Okay. After that, Tally finds out that this is a group from the smoke that goes on missions to burn up these like fields of the synthetic flowers that the city plants. And David tells her they destroy the environment. They're not good for anybody. They're not a renewable resource. They destroy everything in their path, and we're gonna destroy them. And she's like, what? Oh my God, no way. Everyone's not sure. Like, they're like, should we really be bringing her on the mission? And Shay's like, no, like, she's good. We should bring her. Don't know why she would do that. But they go up in a heli and they're flying over the field of flowers, and just all around it is just like barren wasteland. I mean, nothing left. Not even dirt, bro. Like ash. Like, it don't look good. So she's looking at this like, oh my gosh, like this is new information. This is new information. Like, I can't believe this is what's really going on. They get to where they're going. They find the field of flowers and they get to burning. They're incinerating everything. The heli has like an attached flamethrower, and they're just burning everything down, right? But some soldiers pull up and they've got their little blue suits on, and they're like, you know, running through the flames. You know, they're doing some superhuman feats that I don't think people should be able to do. Very suspicious. Chaos ensues. Shay falls out the helicopter. Immediately, Tally leaps out the helicopter after her to go and save her. They get attacked by some of the soldiers, but Tally manages to save Shay, and, you know, they're lifted back up into the helicopter, and everything's fine. So bald dude, his name is Croy, realest one there. He's immediately like, okay, Tally, so what's good? He's like, no, this don't make no sense. That the first time we get rolled up on by these super soldier people, you just showed up and suddenly things are happening. And everyone's like, whoa, like, yo, back off her, bro. Whatever. And I was like, no, Croy, you're right. This is suspicious, because those are my questions exactly. She just got here, and now the next mission we go on, we're getting attacked? No. Immediately you have to go. I'm sorry. It's been nice having you. It's been great. You're just gonna have to go back. You gotta go back. You not gonna do this is what you're not gonna do. Is this. And he's like, am I the only one who's worried about this? Yes, sir. You are a man of intellect, okay, on an island. So David gets all preachy and tells them only a person who really believed in something would jump out of a helicopter into a fiery hell. That's not something anybody would do. And I was like, sir, she wants to save Shay. She mess with Shay. She don't mess with y'all. She don't know you. She don't know you or any of your other people. If it was David who fell out the helicopter, I feared Tally may be like, oh my God, what do we do? Like, she knows Shay. You literally saw them run and jump into each other's arms. Why do you think that would not influence her decision to save her? Like, that was just a really dumb take from a very dumb man. As you will see, he continues to be dumb in the future. So the next scene, not important. David is, showering up in the lake or whatever, getting clean. And Tally is over there creeping on him, in the dark, in the shadows. She's looking at him. We all notice she wants some of that cake. And it is in this moment that my hopes for Shally die. So after the mission, they immediately take Tally to the smoke. A very quick initiation. We're really not vetting people. I honestly don't know how this place stayed hidden for so long. If this is how they behave, apparently they're masters of secrecy. They be moving in silence. So, they get there, it's a little community. They got their little huts, they're doing some farming, some trading, some bartering or whatever. It's just very, very cozy, very low key. Now, the moment she arrives, my first question is, where's the weapon? Where is the weapon? These people are playing cottage living and y'all live in San Myshuno. Where is the weapon that these people are supposedly hiding that they're going to attack the city and just destroy everything that y'all built? That's the first question I have to ask. But Tally apparently still believes that this weapon is real. Also, a lot of these people are kids. Most people here are like under 16. So nothing really happens for the next few scenes. They show around the community. Tally learns about manual labor and that it is real. Also, Croy finds her like snooping around the camp. He's like, girl, what you doing? She's like, oh, I was just looking for the bathroom. More suspicious behavior witnessed by Croy. But is anyone listening? No. Justice for Croy. Justice for that man. Also, there's a scene where Tally gives Shay a piggyback ride. They are girlfriends. I don't need to hear otherwise. The movie continues. David teaches Tally how to shoot a crossbow. They're having conversation, wit for wit. As they head back, they're talking more about, their personal lives. She's like, oh, when did you come here or whatever? And he actually tells her that his parents were here and he was born here. So he's never even been to the city. More questions arise because they have grown people playing these teenagers. I'm assuming that he's the same age as her, that he's like 16. But how infamous did he get like so quickly that the Capitol like knows him by name? Like, was he liberating people since age 13? Like, he apparently poses the biggest threat. When I found out his parents were here, I would have been like, oh, like clearly they're the ones, the adults who are like learned and probably have started this whole thing would probably be more, but no, David is the threat. The 16-year-old boy is the leader of everything that's going on here. He was born here, which means that this place is at least almost 2 decades old and they have not been able to find this. So you're telling me that the first time they even thought of, oh, let's have someone infiltrate or see if they can like sneak into the smoke to find it. The first time they had this idea was when Tally came along. They have trackers, they have all this advanced tech, and apparently they just be letting anybody in. I really don't think it would be that hard. So this either was not a priority or y'all are so stupid. You didn't think to use the resources at your disposal to find this city. But anyway, the conversation ends with David giving Tally his gloves because she has like blisters on her hands and he gives them to her and she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, it's so funny to me that Joey King is like the same person in like every movie. She's like, these are amazing. Thank you so much. It just doesn't match the tone of the conversation. And then, some people are dashing through the village because this girl shows up and she all burnt up, because there was another mission that went bad. And she's talking about like the people that they saw last time, the soldiers. She said they weren't normal pretties. They were, super fast, strong, all that stuff. And she was like, something ain't right with them. Like there's something going on. They cooking something. And so that's basically the information we leave that conversation with. So Shay and Tally leave to get water. And then Shay sees the gloves and she's like, where you get those gloves? And Tally's like, David gave them to me. Tell me this is not the face of a woman who's jealous. But the narrative would have you believe that it's because she's concerned about whether Tally is committed to the smoke or not. She's like, gifts are not like easy to come by. Like, he made those. He likes you. You have 1 foot out, 1 foot in. Like, you got to make a decision. Like, are you going to stay? Are you going to be committed to the cause? Or are you going to leave? Like, you have to make a decision because you can't keep doing this wishy-washy stuff no more. But the next thing we know, David is taking Tally to meet his parents. Y'all just met and he's already hitting her with the meet the family scenario. She's very clearly uncomfortable or like kind of startled by how close they are because they're like chit-chatting. They're very friendly, like they're family, right? And it's like you can very clearly tell that Tally doesn't know what's going on because she's like never seen this kind of dynamic before. And she even says she's surprised that he looks like his parents. That was the saddest thing I've ever heard. Because she's like, the last time I saw my parents, they just asked me for my Morpho account so they could find me when I'm pretty. But anyway, that's not the only reason he brought her here to meet his parents. He brought her there so that they could tell her everything. So he convinces his parents to spill all their secrets, and they're like, oh, like, you know, she hasn't really been here that long, like I don't really know if she needs to know. And he's like, no, she can handle it. They are not worried about whether she can handle it or not. She just got here. What do you mean? There could be a turncoat in your midst and you don't care. She's literally there to infiltrate. And he's like, no, she's good. She's good. So they tell her the story. They used to be doctors, right? So they used to be doctors back in the city, cosmetic surgeons. They were working on refining the transformation process because guess what? It's not all rainbows and sunshine. People were dying from the procedure. It was kept hush hush. And the dad, his job was kind of to make sure that it was safer. And as he was doing his research, he found out that there are like lesions in the brain that occur when people get the transformation. And these lesions, surprise, surprise, they make people more susceptible. They make them kind of dumb. They basically give you like a false sense of happiness and contentment. They find out from Cable that it was the purpose of the transformation all along. Like the real purpose of the transformation was those lesions not making everybody hot. Oh my God, who would have guessed that? So on one hand, if you become a doctor and you're led into the inner circle, they give you the cure so you can get your mind back. Other people like Paris, are given further surgery to make them more susceptible and more brainwashable so that they're basically just like mindless drones. And apparently the whole time they've been here, they've been trying to recreate the cure, but it's missing like a key synthetic component that they can't make out here in the wilderness. So they've kind of just run into a dead end. And Tally is thrown. She's thrown. She's like, oh my God, there's no way. I would just like to reiterate that they've been trying to work on a cure or find a cure for 20 years and Cable knows about it. And I just feel like this lack of urgency to find the smoke is astounding. In an act of defiance, she destroys the necklace, like she throws it into the fire and decides to commit herself to the cause. Like she's fully for the smoke. David comes up to her and she's like, you know, I really feel like I'm not the person who you think I am. Like I really feel like I may be ugly on the inside and out. And he's like, no, you're not. You're beautiful. And they kiss. I'm so happy for them. Jay is in the corner seething with jealousy at this very moment. So the next day, there's a bunch of ships everywhere. The super soldiers in the blue are everywhere. They are overrunning the whole camp. It's chaos. You know, the camp has traps, but it's not enough. They are tackling people, throwing people. It's crazy. And so eventually they round everybody up and they tie them up and they're on their knees or whatever. And Cable and Paris step up to David's parents and Cable is like, where's your son? You need to give him to me now. And you know, the parents, they don't say nothing. And you know what happens next? Paris go up to the daddy and snap his neck. Tally runs out, but she's too late. The mama is in shambles. David is in shambles. It's all very, very bad. And Tally runs out and she's like, you've never told me that you would hurt anyone. And so everybody looking at her and they realized that she was a part of the whole thing. No way. She's talking about some, I vouch for you. Girl, what about her gave vouchable vibes? She started out the film just as brainwashed as everybody else. Like, I don't know why y'all just took like 5 business days for you to put all of your trust in her and like decided that she was just like a part of the team now. Like that, it just didn't make any sense. I got hungry, so I made this bowl of corn. Listen, sometimes I could make lunch. I could have. I didn't feel like cooking. So listen, butter, salt, some pepper. It's good. Like I'm enjoying my meal. Don't look at me like that. You do what you do. I do what I do. So continuing on, everybody's like yelling at Tally like, oh my God, you traitor, yada, yada, yada. And in the chaos, David is over his dad, you know, distraught. And his mom slips the little vial. She had a little vial of what they attempted, like the base serum basically for the cure. She slips it in David's pocket among all the chaos. So they start taking everybody to the ship to go back to the city to get their procedures. Tally and David manage to escape. And everybody else is taken. The stormtroopers destroy the rest of the camp and like basically burn everything down, destroy David's mom, like her lab, like this, they destroy everything. So then David and Tally, he confronts her with less energy than I thought. Your daddy was just like murdered in front of you and it was basically her fault. He holds a knife to her neck and he's like, you liar, how could you? And she's like, oh my god, I didn't know, like they made me, they threatened me. Pause, because no they didn't. When you were talking to Dr. Cable literally said to you, you can either become pretty, you can go through the procedure and become pretty, or you can undertake this super important mission and save Shay. She was probably lying, but did Tally know that? Did she test that theory? No, she decided to do it. The options were laid out before her and she decided to do this. So don't act like this was something that you didn't want to do. You did it. Take responsibility for your actions. So he basically backs off and they decide to go save everybody. I'm really trying to cut through the fat here. We're almost through. So they, take off towards the city and then they just show up at the compound and they roll up on a few uglies and they're like, can you help us? Can you help us create a distraction so we can go save some strangers that you've never met? And they're like, oh my god, is that David? That's David. And he's like, yeah, I'm David. It was so cringe. It was so bad. And they're like, oh my god, yes, of course we'll help. Is there no surveillance in this place? No, nowhere, anywhere. What about the towers? Just recruited some random kids and they were like, yeah, we'll totally help you. And you know what they do as a distraction? Which I have no idea how they would even do this. They write, the smoke lives in the sky. A bit on the nose, but I guess we're not doing a covert operation, trying to sneak into the building or whatever. So they're sneaking around in this building. We don't know where they are. I'm assuming that they're in HQ. Once again, none of the locations have names. The smoke is the only place that has a name. So they're sneaking around this building for 5 minutes before they set off an alarm, alerting everyone. Somehow they still managed to find the cell where everyone is being kept. God knows how they did that. They free everyone. David, Tally, and David's mom all stay behind to try and save Shay because Shay's not there. They find Shay in the operation room, like, she's pretty. I did not see this coming. Girl is brainwashed with a bad wig. Lord, I thought the transformation was supposed to take away bad wigs, but apparently no one is safe. So Paris, the stormtrooper, comes through the door. Cable rolls up out of the shadows and it's 3v3. Cable basically tells him to get in the chamber and they do it. Why they do it, don't ask me. Tally said before all this happened that she had a plan. If it was a plan, it was a stupid plan. It's literally 3v3. I know that Paris is a super soldier, but Shay isn't going to do anything. Dr. Cable certainly is not going to do anything. So it's like 3v1. Paris takes a step forward and they're like, oh my god, we're going. So they get in the chambers. The chambers start filling up with smoke, which I assume is a sedative because like obviously you're not supposed to be awake during the procedure. So now they're willingly stepping into tanks that are going to like sedate them and probably knock them out. But oh my god, it was all a ruse because Croy rolls up with the crew in a helicopter with the flamethrower. I don't know where they got it, but they're in it and it's there. So they burn the whole room down. The fire breaks the glass on the chambers, so they're able to escape. I don't know why you thought it was a good idea to get into these glass boxes and have your friend just spray fire through the room while you're trapped in a box. You could have at least stalled so that when he showed up you wouldn't be inside a glass chamber with a sedative. They didn't get knocked out. That happens. The mom goes, she sees the cure, the synthetic thing that they need to like make the cure work. So she grabs that. They grab Shay and they head up towards the roof. Paris shows up. Tally pulls the classic, this isn't you, look at me. This isn't you, look at me, John B. It's not who you are. And she's basically like trying to wake him up. I don't work. Now remember, this is the man that broke David's daddy neck. So immediately David is in attack mode. He runs up, he tackles the man, they fighting. Paris is beating up on mans. It's not good. Tally gets on a hoverboard. She zooms and like tackles Paris and he like careens off of the edge of the roof and he's like hanging by his fingers. You would assume because he's like a super soldier, he could literally just like lift himself up and be fine. He's like, goodbye, Squint. And then he lets go and like falls into like the waterfall below. And theoretically he's dead. So she's distraught, but they gotta go. So they escape. They run off into like the ruins and meet up with everybody else from the smoke. David's mom reveals that she's got the nanosynth. So she's got the part of the serum that they need. And she's like, David, check your pocket. It's the base serum so they can make the cure, right? And so they They took Shay with them. And so Tali's like, oh my God, Shay's right here. Just go on, pop that in and she'll be back to normal. And they're like, no, we can't like perform on an unwilling subject. And I was like, an unwilling, what are you talking about? She's been brainwashed. Of course she don't want to do it. But like, y'all all knew Shay before. She would like literally die before she got the procedure. She like, that was the last thing she wanted to do. So y'all know she would want to be changed back. But I will concede that they were saying like they don't know if it's gonna work. She might die. We don't know what it's gonna do, and we can't really like just perform it on her, you know, the first trial just cause. So Tali says that she'll do it. She says that she will give herself up, let them take her through the transformation, and then they can come get her and give her the cure. So they have to infiltrate the city a second time, which I assume will be more difficult, and give it to Tali, who is an insurgent, like a known rabble rouser, and give her the cure. But I would assume that because of what she's done, like she would be under surveillance, or like they would be keeping an eye on her after the fact. I understand the issue with Shay, right? But I really feel like we should just take our chances here and just try and give her the cure and see if it works. 1 + 1 = 2. Like, you got the base serum and the nanosynth, it's gonna work, right? Like, it's proven. Like, they know what's in the cure because they were doctors. They were given the cure. I'm sure they were able to analyze it and get all the components and whatnot. But she's like, we don't know if it's gonna work. Yes, you do. Before everybody leaves, David comes up to Tali. He says, you know, he forgives her for God knows what reason. He calls her beautiful, which I assume is supposed to be revolutionary because she's like ugly, but like she's like a conventionally attractive white woman. Yeah, duh. And everybody leaves. The ships pull up on her and she gets taken back to the city. The movie ends with her pretty. Surprise, surprise. It is Joey King with a new wig and some makeup on. So final thoughts. Honestly, there are not many. My brain hurts. This was a painful experience. But I will just say, I think my biggest gripe, clearly this is a dystopia, right? So we can all kind of assume we're talking about uglies that are kids. These are kids going through puberty. You know, not everybody looks like a 10, that these are just normal people. These are just normal people who look normal. And they've been convinced that looking normal means that you're ugly, and going through the procedure makes you a better person. Making Joey King wear this bad wig with like no makeup and like chapped lips, and then having Chase throw on that prosthetic nose, but then no one else is wearing prosthetics or anything. And then you have David, who literally looks like a model, and he's never been through the surgery because he's Tali's love interest. He has to be hot, but he's never been through the procedure. So technically he's an ugly. Do you see how the theme is lost? Because you really just could have had these normal people look like normal people, and then had maybe the pretties looking more severe. In fact, I think that was how it was in the book. Like, it was kind of like an uncanny valley. Like, they were really ditzy and dumb, and they were like not normal. Like, there was something off about them. You really could have committed to that fact, but no, everything was lost. Everything is all jumbled up. This book was written in 2005, and I'm not saying that you can't adapt books from like any time period, but this book was written before Instagram, before AI was like a thing. So even if they did go the route of making the pretties look like unnatural or like too pretty, I don't think it would hit the same in 2024, because we already see things like that, and I don't think it would resonate the same as like seeing something like that like in the 2000s. I feel like that would be a lot more jarring. Making this movie, not with Netflix, I think people would have really enjoyed it, but it just passed its prime. Like, it's not really an impactful story to produce right now, like in this current day and age. I feel like they missed the mark. It was poorly written. They didn't adapt it in a way that made sense. It was I feel like it was really just thrown together and like a last ditch effort to like see if they can get like a pop off Divergent situation. And it's so very clearly failed, but they tried it. But I'm here to tell you that now you've seen this and you don't have to watch it. But if you did watch it, let me know what you thought. You know, let me know if you enjoyed it or if it was so bad that it was good. I just thought it was bad and I didn't enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is my first video, so I appreciate any feedback, or not, maybe don't be mean, and let me know if there's anything you guys want me to review in the future. I'm still kind of like figuring out what I want to do with this channel, but I kind of wanted to try doing a movie review and see how it goes, see how it floats. So yeah, that's the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.